I'm a grandmother, I'm a mother that has a history of having my grandchildren removed. And my story is that late of a Friday afternoon, docks workers came in with 8 or more police and told my daughter that there were risks involved and they were taking her babies. My daughter fought 3 police officers and told her children to run, but they had nowhere to run. They were locked in a small room and couldn't get out. They took my babies and we had to be supervised to see our babies. When they asked, could they come home, we weren't allowed to answer. We weren't allowed to tell them why they couldn't come home. I feel we let our babies down. They had a right to know why they couldn't come home. They had a right to know that they weren't taken because they did something wrong. Docs, they'd say that docs told them if they'd be good, that they could come home, but they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything wrong. But their sentence was, and our sentence by the courts was 18 years. Our babies were put under the minister until they were 18. My daughter has been fighting for 5 years to get her babies back. We used to cuddle them and whisper in their little ear when we were leaving to tell the dogs that they want to come home. Because if we told them that out loud, we would have our visits stopped. My babies were abused in care. My granddaughter broke her arm very badly at school and needed surgery. And I was not allowed to sit with my baby to comfort her. Docs told me if I attended the hospital that they would have police remove me. They said they would ring me and let me know when I could sit beside my baby. That was over 3 years ago. They never rang. They commit a crime. They steal our babies. And the government gives them legal access. I've had another little grandchild removed. He was 16 months old. They brought 4 docs workers and 8 police. It was so hard for me as his nan to tell his mum to let him go. I feel I let him down. He didn't understand what was happening. And he was waving and smiling as he was being driven away. He didn't commit any crime. We love our babies. They told me I wasn't suitable to care for my babies. They told my family they weren't suitable and that we had to apply to be a carer. I applied to be a carer for my grandchildren and they told me I was not successful. I don't know why. 12 months ago I got a letter from Doc stating that because I hadn't had children in my care through them within a 12-month period, they were taking me off the list. As a carer, I didn't understand what was happening. When I rang them, I didn't even know that I was a registered carer through them. And why did I get this letter? To me, it said that I could be classified as a carer to look after someone else's child, but not my own. Why didn't they tell me that I was a carer? These are questions they won't answer. These are stories that I heard as a child from my own grandmother and my auntie when they were taken. My grandmother used to tell me how their little fingers used to bleed from scrubbing the stone floors. I never thought I'd be a grandmother that would go through this, the pain of hearing from my grandmother how she suffered as a child. And now I suffer as a grandmother. And I hope and pray one day that I will be able to lay down and cuddle my babies. I don't see my babies. I haven't seen them for 3 years because I can't stand to see the hurt in their eyes when I can't answer their questions. Why I can't bring them home. Because if I answer those questions, I won't see them anyway. And I can't walk away and leave my babies. I hurt every day. I go to bed every night praying that my babies will come home to their mum. My daughter loves her babies. We have a right to care for them and love them. My daughter says she's not a surrogate mum, and she's not. When her little babies were born, they had a right. Every little child in this world has a birthright to know who they are, where they come from, and where they're going in life. If they don't have that, if that is taken from them, they forever wonder who they are. They lose the very essence of who they are. They walk around with this hole in their heart because they don't know who they are. Nobody has the right to do that. Nobody has the right to destroy a family. We, as families, as communities, we have a responsibility that we take very strongly and proudly in nurturing, caring and protecting our children, yet that right is taken away. we forever look out there and just wonder where they are. Are they okay? Are they sick? Are they crying for us? They don't have a voice. They don't ask, do they want to go home? They shouldn't have to suffer feeling that they've been punished for something that they've done wrong when they've done nothing. How do you punish and explain to a newborn baby that they have no rights? Every human being, man, woman or child, has rights. They have rights to pass down whatever culture they come from to their children. One of my grandchildren live in the same town that I do. I know the family very well, but if I go near that family, my grandson will be taken away again and he'll be put somewhere out of town. I don't drive past my grandson's school during school hours in case I'm seen. I can't go to his little plays. I can't go to his sports carnivals. I can't go to his grandmother's day, grandparents' day at school and see his little works. I don't get school photos. If I do any of these things, my grandson will be removed and put with family he doesn't know. I love my grandson so much. He is part of me. He is part of all his grandmothers behind me that he will never know. He will never know about because I can't tell him. And it hurts me that I can't go and let him see my face and know that I love him, just even in the crowd. But I love my grandson too much to see him traumatized again by being taken away and put somewhere else. So I look at him in here and I talk to him in here because that's all I've got. And maybe I can hold him here. I'll never put my grandson at risk of being taken. I would love to be able to go down. I would feel so proud to sit beside him at his little desk and have him show me his work and what he's doing. I don't know what he's interested in. I couldn't even tell you his shoe size. I have 30 grandchildren. And when I hold them, I wish they were my little babies. I don't hold. But I can't look up. I can look after the other 26. But I can't hold these ones. I'm not suitable. I don't even see my grandson down the street. I saw him one day at Sorry Business and he didn't know me. And when he was told to come and give me a cuddle, he's my flesh and blood. But he reacted to me like I was a stranger on the street. And I tried not to cry. I tried so hard. I didn't want to upset him. He knows I'm Nan. But he didn't know how to relate to me. And I told him that I loved him and it was okay to go. When my little grandson left, I cried so hard. I just didn't want to let him go. I just wanted to hold him forever. But I had to let him go. Maybe one day I won't have to let him go. I'm not going to hold him forever. I want them to come home. If I'm alive when they do. I want to tell them how proud I've always been of them. I want to tell them about who they are. I want to fill that hole that they have in their heart, in their being, so that they walk proud and they know who they are. They know why this has happened to them. And they, most importantly, know they didn't do anything wrong. And that we fought every day that they were away, every minute that they were in our heart. And they slept with us every minute that they were away. They were not forgotten, that they weren't given away. I want them to be proud. Most importantly, I want them to be a survivor of what they've done to them. I just want them to know that, and if I'm not alive, I want my daughter to tell them I cried an ocean of tears and I loved them. And I'm so proud to have been in their lives. They are my essence. They are my future. And I want them to know about me. And that I fought so hard for them because I loved them so much. And without them in my world is not worth having. They are the stars. They are the waters. They are everything that I am. And it's because I lived that they lived. And I want them to go through life never bowing their heads. They have no ownership to shame. What they do have ownership to is where they come from and the pride in that knowledge. I would hold them for forever. There's not a minute goes by I wouldn't tell them that I love them. That's what I'd tell them. The man is a fool to think that an apology covers the injustice of a theft of a child is good enough. I would ask him if he was in front of me today to look into the eyes of our children that are still being stolen even today as we speak, and ask them, is sorry enough for the crime that has been committed against them. No apology is acceptable. All that apology done was to make him feel good and get out there and apologise to the world and, advance his political career. Our Aboriginal children and families and communities have been suffering since invasion. The same thing's going on. That man needs to feel the pain and suffering that these governments, through legislation, is inflicting on our people, our children. We live this, both historically and now. I would hate to think that one of my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, will one day be sitting here as a grandparent saying the same thing. This needs to stop. Our system of parenting needs to be understood. just because it's different doesn't make it wrong. You look at any culture, we don't judge. We don't go into their homes and steal their children. When you say, how would you feel if I did this? They say we understand, yet they're walking out the door with the most precious gift that we own under their arm. How is that understanding? We have compassion. I would never damage or traumatise any child in an attempt to show them how it feels. We don't want sorry. Sorry's not good enough. As my 4-year-old grandson says, Nanny, sorry don't cut it. It doesn't. We want and we demand that communities are worked with our children, that control be given back to communities in the care and protection of our children. And we're demanding that our babies, every one that has been stolen, that they be brought home. Home is where they need to be. Any house is a home, but they need to be brought home here so that we can heal and they can heal and we can be one. This is where government needs to put our babies. They need to stop and think about the atrocities that not only historically and present day are inflicting on our people. We are First Nation. We have the oldest culture in the world, yet we are the most disrespected within our own lands by a government that continues to abuse and try to assimilate our people. We have much to offer Australia. We are here. We have been here long before they came. Their control is no longer wanted. It's no longer necessary to us. We demand control of not only who we are, but what we are. We have a history. We are proud, strong, resilient people that is evident because of the fight. Many, many fights that our ancestors before us have fought, and in respect and pride in them, we go forward demanding our right to exist. We're not asking for their acceptance. We're not asking for anything that we don't have a right to. We are demanding the right to exist as our ancestors did, with pride in not only who we are, but what we are. Their law doesn't govern us. The law fails us. Their law fails us. Our law, our traditional law, we still hold. They have tried to break us and destroy us, annihilate us since invasion. The fact that we are here today shows that we are resilient. We have adapted to their way of life, but they have no right. They have stolen our lands, our birthright to our country, but they can't break what's in here. They can't take that away. They can't take away our dreaming. I visit my children, my grandchildren, in my dreaming, and I pray that they hear me. They can't take that away. They can't take away the pride that we have, the strength that we have in our historical footprint. They can't take that away, and that frightens them. They fear what they don't understand, but they've never made any attempt to walk beside us and talk to us and learn. We protected the environment, everything that is, because that is, we come from that creation. We worship Mother Earth. They destroy it. And yet we are the savages in their eyes. We didn't destroy. We not only cared for our people, but we cared for everything around us because we are part of that. It didn't mean $1 to us. It was our creation, and it was where we returned in our passing. Money had nowhere in our existence. It is through their greed and their fear of misunderstanding that all of what you see today, it saddens us. Many of our traditional lands are gone. Australia is built on a lie that needs to be exposed. Until my dying day, I will fight to have that lie exposed and to bring my babies home. At the moment, we are in the process of negotiation. We have proposed what we're calling an expert Aboriginal committee. We have put a great deal of effort and time into this. We've had a lot of legal representation go into this to understand because they understand the legal aspects and the policies and procedures and so forth. So to come into line with their guidelines, we have put this together and presented it to docs in New South Wales to have this expert committee implemented within our area. And ideally I'd love to see this Australia-wide. And what it looks at is where there's a perceived issue with a family that they refer to this committee, so that we look at the family as a whole, because whilst they say it's care and protection of the children, they have a responsibility to the family and community. So it's looking at the family nucleus, so mum and dad and the children, as to if there is indeed issues. It's all about accountability. There's no reason to remove those children, so there's no case. So if there's a situation where the little ones do need what I consider respite, then we look at the family and community. So we keep that little one within the family unit and within that community, so that there's no trauma involved. The parents don't feel disempowered, and that there's all these services that are assisting this family to stay together. Docs are looking at dissecting the committee and structuring it as they see fit in consultation with the Grandmothers Against Removal. We're not happy with what they're doing, and certainly we're having further meetings with them, and I for one will be standing firm, and the other grandmothers will also, in the fact that this is how our community works. This is what we've based it on, how we've traditionally cared for family, children throughout the ages. So we've put it into word that they can understand, and they can scream and scratch and claw till the cows come home, but so will we. It is time for us as communities to take control. We are the experts on Aboriginal people. This is not just a name, Aboriginal. This is who we are. We not only talk the talk, but we walk the walk of who we are. It's a living. That's something you can't teach in a school, out of a book. And nothing short of having this control given back to communities is going to be acceptable. We're up for the fight. They're not going to cede power easily. We know that. They have had power for all these generations. But what they need to understand is that their system, whether they call themselves welfare, docs, family community services, whatever they want to call themselves, they have failed. Their system has failed. We need care and protection, okay? That's a fact, but not from ourselves, not from our family and community. We need care and protection from them thieves that come in and steal our babies. And we're going to stand up and we're going to fight this, because this is our time. They got to understand they are babies. We didn't give birth to orphans to be signed away at the stroke of a pen. And we're going to fight and demand that this be done. And we will win. It is our time. And we're not going to rest I might be pushing up Daisy's Dale one day, but there's going to be another black footprint there to take my place. So we're not going away, and they can fight against it as much as they want to, but this time we win. This time our babies have a voice. This time we take control. On February 13th next year, we're having a rally down in Canberra to further bring awareness to what's happening with our children and stop stolen generation once and for all. You know, Rudd said sorry this anniversary. We're telling Rudd and any other government official, sorry, don't cut it. You stand up there with us and you do it. Actions is what we want and what we're demanding. We're demanding the right to parent our children as we have done for generations long before white man came and put his dirty footprint on top of ours. We have the right. We're going to take that tape off every little baby and give them a voice and demand that they come home and demand that this atrocity of stealing our babies stop once and for all. We demand on February 13 that they have a right, these little babies, and we have a right to our culture, our heritage. Most importantly, those little babies, they're our future. They're the essence of who we are. Any mother has the right to hold her baby. And we're not going to stand by and let them thieves come into our home and destroy our families and destroy our children. Most importantly, they're not going to take away our right to be proud of who we are. That's what I'll be telling them on February 13. And for anyone that can't get there, I ask them, you be proud of who you are and you stand up in your communities and you tell your communities and the world how proud you are to be an Aboriginal, and you stand with us in your own communities and unite and be one, because as one nation we are the strongest people and we're not standing back no more. We're not letting anybody walk over us. That's what I'll be telling them, and that's what I ask every Aboriginal man, child and woman to be proud of who they are. And anybody else that wants to stand with us, they're welcome. If I was to say sorry to you, It is because I genuinely believe that I've wronged you in some way. And to say sorry, I'm saying that I'm not going to do it again. It's a lie. What Kevin Rudd said was a lie. Because when that man was standing up there saying sorry, across Australia, and even today, our babies are still being taken. You don't say sorry to someone and slap them up the head when you're walking away. It don't mean anything. You don't do it again. If you're genuine, you don't do it again. I'm not a hypocrite. I don't say sorry if I don't mean it. Rudd's a hypocrite. And so are all the ones sitting up there on their little high horse in government. They have no right to make commitments. They have no right to make legislation without consultation with Aboriginal people. We didn't give them that right. We didn't give them that power. We didn't ask them. You don't assume you have power unless you ask. They don't have that right. We haven't given it to them. My grandfather was initiated. I was born black. I wake up black. I go to bed black. I also went through life fair-skinned. And often I would be asked, which parent is Aboriginal? And I would tell them both. When I left school at 14 and a half, my brown-skinned mum was told if I ever went for a job interview not to come with me. My mum said, I'm not that stupid. I wouldn't risk my daughter not getting a job by seeing black mummy. I was sad. I was so sad. Because I'm proud of who I am. I loved my mother. I worship the ground even now, and she's been passed over. And in my heart for 30 years. I was sad that she felt that way. To even imagine denying who I am, what I am, to get a job. It would never enter my mind. I used to listen to my grandfather, and I was so proud of him. My children, my grandchildren, they know them, even though they never met them. They know them because I tell them. And it's through this that my children are proud that they're Aboriginal, even though they have a white side too. I tell them they should be proud because they've got two cultures. They shouldn't ever be made to feel ashamed. But this is what society does. They look at us like we're walking around with three eyes. We look at them as people. I want everybody to be proud of who they are. That is their birthright. Nobody has the right to cause someone shame. And when I'm gone, I'll be my future generations dreaming. And I'll meet them there. And I want to see their heads held high. I don't want to see shame in their eye. There's no room for it. The only room is for pride. They should feel pride and love each other so much. If I leave one footstep on this land, it is to bring pride back in and strength to my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. I don't want them to ever feel they have anything to be ashamed of. I used to sit in a classroom, one little black gin up the back of a room full of white kids. And they used to show these movies of Cook landing and Aboriginal people spearing Cook. And these little white kids used to turn around and look at me. But I was proud of who I was. And they used to call me all the dirty little so-and-sos for eating kangaroo and this sort of thing. And the teacher never ever went crook on them. But you know, the last laugh is for me. What can you buy in a supermarket today? Some of them little white kids, they adults now, they grandparents just like me. Who's the dirty little so-and-so that goes in and buys the kangaroo meat now? I walk in with pride, I buy it, I eat it. That's our traditional food. What's their excuse? Do they go home and tell their children that they're dirty so-and-sos for eating my native food. No, they don't. They don't tell them about when they were in that classroom looking up at that little black gin up the back and what they said. I held my head all high with pride, and I'm happy to say they should hold their heads down in shame for how they treated that little black girl back then. But they won't, because they're ignorant, and they won't tell their kids what they did as a little kid. But they should, because I tell my children about the atrocities in our history, because to know the history, however bad it was, and it was bad, that helps them to understand the atrocities and know they don't have a right of any blame for what happened. They were the victims. But they're no longer victims. We are survivors. And through being a survivor, we can walk forward and hold our heads up high. We got nothing to say sorry about. We got nothing to apologise for. The legal system, everything about this white man's system has failed because they fear. And to fear is to want to control, to suppress. But we're not down there no more. We're on the rise and we're going to march on. That is our right.